So thank you very much, Mr. Arnoldas Pranckevičius, for being here with us. I would like to start off by asking you about your experience with the European Union. Initially, how did you start being interested in EU politics?
Well, probably my interest in the European Union was really dating to my studies both in the United States and especially in France at Sciences Po, where I was doing a master's degree in European studies and interning in the European Parliament. That was probably the first time that I had an opportunity to learn about the institutions and to understand how it works. And that was still before my country, Lithuania, joined the European Union. And since then, when I came back to my own country, serving the former president of Lithuania, I never left that hope to come back to Brussels, to European Union institutions, to sit in the competition for public service and to return to European issues. So that did happen. My old dream went true, and in the end I spent 11 years working in the European Parliament, 7.5 of which with the presidents, Martin Schulz and Jerzy Buzek, as their diplomatic advisor. And since 1 year, I'm back to Lithuania representing European Commission here in Lithuania. So I've changed institutions from Parliament to Commission, and I've changed cities from Brussels to Vilnius. But that is also a very unique opportunity to reconnect with my own country and a very unique experience to represent European interests at home. It's a completely new perspective.
Yeah, but I would like to draw the attention now to the challenges that we're facing, and basically the democratic challenge. Mm-hmm. And how do you think the process is right now towards being more democratic, and again, like how the youth can have bigger impact?
Well, of course, this period is a challenge. It's a very challenging period for democratic institutions across the globe. I would say also more fundamentally to the post-Cold War order of rules and norms and international law. All of that is contested globally by not only rising xenophobic and radical forces, but also by terrorists across the Western world, but also by some of the governments that approach the ideas of economic protectionism or indeed naked defense of their self-interest. So all of the idea of the post-Cold War and post-World War II world, where we engaged in dialogue, in compromise, we used multilateral institutions to achieve progress, is being contested and challenged. Mm-hmm. European Union is at the avant-garde of those issues. We are the club which probably is the best example in the world of compromise, of debate, of dialogue, and of pooling together different interests for one goal, and trying to use the national resources, national political instruments for global action in terms of climate change, in terms of world trade, in terms of increasingly security and defense. So indeed, this world is being challenged, but I don't think it is about to cease to exist. Contrary is the case. In the context of rising populism and nationalism, we've seen in the recent year in Europe, election after election, European people indeed showing the red card to xenophobia, to radicalism, to homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, all those very, I would say, dangerous ideas that are resurging again after World War II. But happily and luckily, the majorities of societies are showing open mind, are showing responsibility, and are giving credit of trust, not only to their national authorities, but more importantly, even to Europe as such. We as Europeans should not fail that credit of trust, and the European Union should not fail in this mandate of trust. And therefore, it is about to renew itself, to recharge itself, to embrace a new way of thinking and a new way of managing itself. And in this context, the future of Europe debate, which was launched by President Juncker and which is ongoing in all EU member states, is crucially important. 60 years after Rome Treaty, we need to renew the project and to make sure that it is becoming more effective, more democratic, more accountable, and indeed able to survive next 60 years and beyond.
And the next question would follow more about the radicalism and populism that is rising. As you mentioned before, how the pro-Europeans can have a more effective arguments towards expressing their views. Maybe it's a problem of EU marketing and public relations in a way that should be increased more to allow the pro-Europeans to determine their mindset and be more effective in representing the opposite perception from the radical and populist ideas.
Definitely, communication is key, and could be explained as one of the reasons, both behind the Brexit result and the election of Donald Trump in the United States, and many other big events of the past year. And there, I would say it's a joint responsibility or joint lessons to be learned, both of national governments and the European institutions, as the communication is really a global challenge, and especially locally and nationally, European institutions can do only as much. And increasingly, I see that through my work here in Vilnius, that the national communication is most important. The communication should be understandable to the people, should happen in their language, should happen while taking into account their cultures and their expectations and the specific issues that are important to them. And what we need to be able to do in fighting different types of radical ideas is, first of all, to diagnose the reasons of fear, of uncertainty and anxiety of people that choose to vote for radical forces. These are real feelings and real reasons behind. We should make sure that we understand what are the causes and the roots of that. We should try and find the way to talk to the people that think differently. And first and foremost, we should tackle the issues up front. Social exclusion, unemployment, economic convergence, and all those issues that often, raise those anti-European or anti-systemic feelings, including migration, including better management of external borders of the European Union, including a much more effective common migration policy and much more effective common asylum policy, including much better coordinated action against terrorist attacks in European capitals. All of that is very serious agenda in front of us, and it's not only the European Union, of course, but the national governments as well that need to play together in order to take back the initiative from the populist forces.
The final question would be about the issues that we see up front. So how can the young people have practical impact for the future issues, and how can they actually make the European Union work for them?
I think young people do already play and can play a very, very important role, especially in today's world where nobody has a monopoly. Nobody has a monopoly on politics, nobody has a monopoly on economics, nobody has a monopoly on communication. And everyone can be an actor that has an influence, especially in terms of communication, where social media, from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, is playing a major role, and especially in such small and dynamic country like Lithuania, you can see that one person, or one independent journalist, or one civic activist can create an earthquake in political field, and even force a minister to resign or force the government to change its policy. The society was never as powerful as it is today. Truly, of course, the issues and the problems maybe have not been bigger in the recent years as they are today, but also the people have never had so many instruments at their disposal to influence issues without being a part of politics, without being politicians themselves. So I would really, in many ways, encourage young people to use those instruments, to use them wisely, to use them effectively, to always speak out instead of remaining silenced, especially in the world of alternative facts and fake news, especially in the world of cyber attacks and information warfare, which happens both within the EU but also is done by outside partners that are meaning bad to us. We should be smarter, we should be vigilant, and we should be ourselves communicating and taking initiative. And we should remember what Victor Hugo once said, famous French writer, who said that there are times in history where being silent is also a lie. Meaning if you remain silent and you don't say your own opinion, you support the false facts and the alternative facts that are being presented by others. So nobody, I think, today, not the governments, not the societies, and not the individuals, have a pleasure and a privilege to remain silent. It is a very important period in European history. It is the time of definition, where we are about to defend, the 60 years of peace and prosperity. And if we don't speak out, if we don't communicate better, if we don't stand up to the values of freedom, of equality, other people will actually take that space for us. So this is my encouragement to the young people. Be brave and be self-confident.
Thank you very much for this optimistic end of this interview and chat. So many
Thank you very
thanks
much.
again.
Thank you very much.